everyone. So I've been wanting to create a lot more videos that have to do with what I just naturally do day in and day out in my life. And to be honest with you, most of my weeks are spent sitting here, literally in front of my computer, doing design work. So I figured, why not share more about what I'm doing in the design world, share more about what I'm interested in, and maybe even share with you some of my work. So today is going to be one of those videos. Today I came up with the idea of sharing with you all some of my favorite fonts that I've been using off of Google Fonts, just because this week I've been working for a client and doing a little bit of branding work, and I've been limited to only using Google Fonts just for font licensing purposes, just because all the fonts that you'll find on Google Fonts are free and open source. You don't have to pay a licensing fee to use them. And as I was in this black hole of looking for fonts, there were a few fonts that I really was feeling at the moment, and they're not as popular as the go-to fonts that everybody uses, like Poppins or Inter. And you might want to consider using these fonts in your designs to set you apart from all those other brands using those widely used fonts on there. Alright, so the first font that I'm going to share with you is a font called Plus Jakarta Sans. And this is a font that I've been using a lot lately just because I personally really like the font Helvetica, and this is a really good alternative to that font if you don't want to use Helvetica. And it is just a super clean sans serif font. You could type any word out in it and it looks great. And what I like to do with this font is I like to tighten up the kerning on it, and it looks a lot better when the letters are a little bit tighter. And this font really reminds me of another font that was very popular back in 2017 called Circular. And every single day when I was on the subway in around this time period, I'd always see a new startup with ads on the subway using this font LL Circular. And this font off of Google Fonts called Plus Jakarta Sans, I think this could kind of be like the 2023 version of that font. When I was working for Gimlet back in the day, their logo literally was just the brand name Gimlet spelled out in that font. And you could kind of create this similar effect with this font. If you have a new startup today and you wanted to come up with a logo, you could very simply just type out your company's name in this font, tighten up the letters a little bit, and call it a day. I really like how this looks, especially if you put a little trademark in the top corner of it. It makes it look more official, and it's almost like you've got a logo right off the bat using this font. The next font that I have been using a lot lately is a font called Big Shoulders. And this font is more of a narrow and condensed font, but it's also a variable font as well, so you could definitely play around with both the weight and the width of it to match whatever you want it to do. The other really cool thing that I like about this font are the interesting little bits that they do in the ink traps. Now, if you're not familiar with what an ink trap is, it is in those little crevices of the letters. It's been a pretty trendy thing nowadays to choose fonts that do something very interesting in this space, and this font has it. I really like using this font in a condensed and very thick type of font to make a huge impact in whatever it is that I'm trying to do. You could very well use this also to create a logo just by typing your brand name using this font, and I think it looks great. The other cool thing is that on Google Fonts they have this version of Big Shoulders that's like an inline font that spells it out in multiple lines. There's a very popular poster back in the past Olympics. It was from Mexico, and I think you could really use this inline version of the font to create a retro-looking type of poster design using that type of style. So one thing that I've noticed on Google Fonts is that they are lacking in a lot of wide and extended fonts. And I've been wanting to use a lot of wide and extended fonts in some of my designs, and I'm sure a lot of you have as well, because it's also becoming a trend out there to use these types of fonts. But I have found one font that almost fits the bill, and it's a font called Anek Malayalam. There's actually a whole set of fonts on Google that begin with Anek, and these fonts, they actually support a lot of different languages. And it is also is a variable font, and you could actually stretch it out to a wide width. And I've been really liking using this font in the wide extended width. And it's been able to give me that look and feel that I've seen around the internet of brands using these wide and thick fonts. And I've been having a lot of fun playing with it. I particularly like using these fonts and putting a big black box behind it, and it creates a pretty cool design and effect. And you could use this for really big type for posters or even for headlines in websites. It's just a really nice, impactful font. The next font that I want to share with you has been featured recently at the top of Google Fonts lately, and it is a font called Bricolage. Now, I've been playing around with this font a lot because it is a pretty trendy looking typeface. I see this as being used for a new Gen Z type of brand, whether it's a product, a drink, or even a trendy coffee shop. I think this font would really kind of match that brand if it is appealing to that new kind of aesthetic. And it has the funky ink traps that you really like, has a lot of variability in the widths in each of the letters. And I think it is a really cool font, especially if you are dealing with a client that wants that sort of new hip brand. And the last font that I want to share that I've been using a lot lately is a font called Rajdhani. And this is a very interesting font because I feel like I use it for more serious subjects. I feel like if you are doing something that has to do with like a game interface for like a military type of thing, this is a font that I would use. Another instance of it that I could really see it being used in is movie posters, especially for serious subjects. If you were to take a look at the Oppenheimer poster, I could easily see this font being an alternative to that font that was used for that poster. And I really like stretching this font out, so really expanding the kerning between the letters. It is actually something that Christopher Nolan is known to do in all of his movie posters. So I think really stretching this font out, the letters in this font, would give you a really nice, serious effect. So those were my top 5 fonts that I've been using a lot lately from Google Fonts. Hopefully maybe there was something new in there for those of you who are designers that you might want to try out in your own designs. Let me know if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up if you like it, and it'll give me an idea of whether or not I should keep doing these types of videos. But it's nice to be able to create videos based off of stuff that I am doing every single day.